Since this is this is the mentoring working group meeting for the TAG contributor strategy team, and is an official CNCF meeting, and so falls under the what are they, why can't I ever do this like without
It's a code of conduct.
That's the code of conduct. Thank you. The CNCF code of conduct, which I like to paraphrase as "be excellent to each other." And so, for the folks looking in later on YouTube and whatnot, um, if you'd like to join us live sometime, we do this every third Thursday of the month at 10 p.m. Pacific time, and would love to have you. Hello, Ali. How have you been?
Good.
Good, good. Sorry, I didn't update the agenda here before we started. I don't have a lot other than just sort of quick updates. We have we've got term 2, obviously, or term 3 for LFX in flight, and we are just on Tuesday the midterm evaluations were due, so I'm currently going through and processing those. We are doing pretty well. We're within our goal for I think we've had only one person not pass the evaluation. Unfortunate, but this is so far within our goal. One person, I think, out of 47 is not too bad. So the other thing I wanted to mention is the mentorship monitor has been really helpful this term. I've used it already at about the 3-week mark. So we're at about the 6-week mark now. At the 3-week mark, I went through and I sort of emailed every mentor who had a mentee who hadn't opened a commit or a PR yet. And I think that has worked quite well. And in the evaluations, I'm seeing some comments around like, oh, it started slow, but we're catching up and things like that. Now, again, with the evaluations, I'm taking mentors at their word. So if they're saying progress has been made, then I'm assuming progress has been made. And there's a couple of things with the mentorship monitor where I'm thinking that potentially either we're not capturing the right orgs, or we're not capturing all of the activity, because there's a few folks who look like they haven't opened a PR yet, but that's in contrast to what I'm seeing in the evaluations. So that's something that I'd like to maybe dig into a little bit, and we can take that offline. I don't want to talk too much about that, like on.
Yeah. So whenever you see something like that, please write to me. So I'm not really always available, I know, but I might be able to check it out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the issue is we show a PR that is not really from this person, or we don't show a PR.
it's there's I'm seeing people in the evaluation say that some work has been done, but I can't verify it because it doesn't look like we're capturing it in the monitor. So I just want to make sure that like if I'm being told someone's done work, that I can see the work that's been done.
Okay.
And so again, let's take this one offline. One of the things I'd like to do, because I know you're busy. I used to be a JavaScript developer at one point. Would you be interested in giving me a bit of a like a walkthrough or an overview? I've been like the documentation is pretty good, but there's still some bits that I'm confused about. And so there are some issues that are popping up that I think that I could probably fix. I would never merge my own PR on this, but I may be able to do a little bit more to help out on this. I've also been talking to some of the again, with full appreciation for all the work that you've done. I'm also chatting with the LFX team to see if we can integrate some of the work that you've done. Because I think that the stuff would more properly live in the LFX mentoring platform or maybe the community management platform. So I'm having conversations in the background on potential.
So the thing about the current solution, Mentorship Monitor, is so basically I designed it so that it stores everything in the repository
Yep.
and not in a database. Ideally, if
Oh,
I had somewhere to host my solution, it would be much better if we were able to, if we were storing data on a database or something like that.
Yeah, well, and then there's definitely a bunch of data duplication and whatnot in the system that we can sort of work out, and that's why I'm sort of saying like what I'm using this for when I'm having my discussions with the LFX folks is, hey, this is the type of information that we need and that we're looking for, and I'm taking it and I'm doing like manual counts for some of like the follow-up stuff. Like I've shared with like the governing board information around. Actually, we should grab it from the we should grab the charts from the main tag CS meeting because I've got those charts, and
Oh, yeah.
for generating those charts, I'm literally like counting, like, oh, how many people have done something in the last 12 months, or how many people have done more than one commit in the last 12 months, right? Because there's different things that I'm trying to split the data a little bit differently. And eventually, ideally, with if we got a database backend, I'd like to also see how responsive mentors are, right? If a mentee opens a PR and it takes 3 weeks for the mentor to get to it, that's also not ideal, right? So yeah.
I mean, we can also have this information here, but I don't know
Yeah,
if
well, this is
kind of,
yeah, I agree. And it's just a matter of sort of, right, like we're building this tool because we need the tool, right? But we're doing it as a beta, right? This is, I don't think this was ever intended to be the full final product.
yeah, exactly.
So,
That's pretty much what I was gonna say. So this is like a quick and dirty thing.
yep, exactly.
We can add more features, but they're not gonna be great. And it's like,
Yep.
in the end, it will be a waste of time because I think LFX folks, they will have a better platform to show this. There was a guy, I think his name was Lucas. I was interested in interacting with him several times. I think he is responsible for dev stats. So, for example, that guy, he knows how to interact with GitHub API and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure those people, they would do a much better job than me, and also they have the hosting opportunity.
Yeah, unfortunately, I thought about that. Unfortunately, we don't have the budget to engage Lucas on this right now.
Like,
But I was thinking literally the same person for the same thing. So and I did bring it up. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to bring them in.
please make the whole thing open source so that I can also contribute.
Well, there's also that. Yeah, that's another conversation. Um, yeah, because that would be lovely. It's kind of our whole thing. But I don't want to get too deep into that. So then in terms actually just going back to some just a note, we've got about 5 evals that are outstanding still. So we've yeah, I'd like to, we're doing pretty good. We got almost all of them in on time day of, with about probably 7 outstanding. And then I sent out an email and 2 came in basically immediately after that email. And so, yeah, so I'm fairly happy with that. Again, I think that the crew that we have right now as mentors for term 3, I don't think we have any new mentors. I think everybody has been a mentor before, or has been, at least the project has been involved before. So it's people know what the process is. With KubeCon coming up, you're attending, right, Ali?
Yeah, I will. I'll be there.
One of the things that I'm doing on the tech docs side of my job is either a 20 or a 40-minute skill up kind of thing, where in the project pavilion, I'm going to be going through Hugo and Doxy at a fairly high level, aimed at projects that are hanging out in the pavilion. And I was wondering if we wanted to do something similar, like just a quick 20-minute sort of, hey, mentorship, this is what the program is, on the pavilion stage.
I don't remember much about the pavilion stage.
Well, it's just going to be, when I say pavilion stage, there's going to be a table and a monitor. And it's
No.
just going to be in the project pavilion, right? So one of the things that George has set up starting the last KubeCon was like he was doing like he was using that as sort of his home base, and that's where he had like the sign like tours, like ask me anything, and that's where he was doing like tours of the pavilion. So that's sort of like if you're envisioning it, that's what it is. It's like a table. So the way we're going to set the pavilion up is like there's the booths, right? And then there's going to be some chairs, like just like as a relaxation area where people can sit and talk. And then adjacent to that, there'll be like a table and a big monitor. And that's where George, Jeff, Daniel, myself, some other folks are probably going to be hanging out, spending most of our time. And so we've got these 20-minute blocks that we're looking at filling. And like I said, I'm going to do the Tech Docs one. I've already said I'm going to do that. But I was wondering if we wanted to do something similar for mentoring. And again, it would just be like a 20-minute, hey, projects, this is what the mentoring program is all about. Here's some of our statistics, here's some of our numbers. Have sort of an informal-ish conversation around. And this is like instead of like we've tried doing like the workshops before, and we've like obviously we've done talks and whatnot about mentorship, but I kind of like the idea of the informal session at the project pavilion stage.
So what do we need? We need some slides and we need some thinking, like we need to talk there, like
Yeah, we need an outline and some slides, basically. But I'm so first off, I'm curious if you're interested in doing it with me. If so 2 questions: good idea or bad idea? If it's a good idea, do you want to do it? And I was thinking if we did do it, we'd probably want to do it on 2 days, for the different projects that are going to be around, right? And the third question is like, what would the content be if we were interested? So I would do like I did a talk for what was it? I did a talk for women in engineering a while ago, or women in software engineering. And I did up a sort of a generic, this is our mentoring program slide. Let's see if I can find it and share it here. We could do a variation on that. That was an hour-long talk. So we could do a shorter one. Where's the
So if you think that it will work, or it doesn't have to be like 100% efficient that we gather everyone around us or something, it cannot be like that. But it's still, yeah, let's still do it. Maybe we can gain 1 or 2 new mentors or new projects interested.
Yeah, here's the here, let me drop the. Are you able to access that that link?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So yeah. So this is aimed towards mentees wanting to apply. So we would have to change it to so the audience would be that would be projects. Looking to grow there. So it would like right now that talk is for mentees looking to apply. This one would be like, okay, what are the advantages for projects?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and when to do that? We can talk about that when the
Yeah,
time.
so if you're interested, let me go back and talk to George, see if he's actually got some slots. If he does, then I'll come back and say, okay, let's start putting something together. But I figure we got a month. There's a lot of time here to develop something. So it sounds like you're interested.
Yeah, I'm interested.
All right, cool. KubeCon is always fun. Is there anything else that I know that Vitesse is actually, I'm looking forward to this talk because Vitesse is actually, um, um, they applied for and had a talk approved where they're actually bringing their mentee, to KubeCon to give a talk, about the work that they did. So I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see that one. That'll be good. Hello, Harshan. Welcome. How are you doing? Welcome to the mentorship working group meeting. Okay, so if you're not able to come on camera or unmute, that's fine, Harshan. Do feel free to use the Zoom chat. I'll keep that open if you want to make any comments or join the conversation in there. So Ali, is there anything else that we need to is there anything else on your mind? I know we've still got one Google Summer of Code project that is running, I think, till like early November. I think the eval is due like the 11th or something. I can't remember the exact date, but I'm keeping an eye on it. And then did I give you the update? Everybody who has completed the other 10 have passed. So they were all successful mentorships. Excuse me. So that makes me happy.
Are you gonna go to Google Summer Code Summit? Or did it
That happened not last weekend, the weekend before.
Okay. Who you went there or no?
I had a conflict. I wasn't able to go.
Okay.
And I think Jason was interested in going, but he also had a conflict. And then I think you were moving that weekend. So
If only it was closer to KubeCon.
yeah. Oh, hello, Arjen. Welcome. CSE students switching to DevOps and ML ops as these topics. Oh, I think we've been chatting over in the Slack mentoring channel. Um, glad to have you here. Um, I think that I shared with you the how to get started in open source article. I think it's a really good one, and you were saying that there wasn't much ML stuff in there, and you're right, or ML ops stuff in there. But it's a good general guide for getting started in open source projects generally. It's there is some cloud native stuff in there, but it's I think quite applicable to other areas in terms of trying to help you find opportunities for work. The other tool I'd probably recommend is something called Clo Monitor. And let me grab the so Clo Monitor is a tool that looks at all CNCF projects, GitHub repos, and if there is, oh, I'm sorry, not Clo Monitor, um, Clo Contributor, contributor.dev. Sorry, contributor.dev goes through and finds all of the cloud native projects who have got issues open with the help wanted tag. So if you're interested in machine learning, we have a few projects that are so we don't do a lot, like we don't do ML ops specifically. We're very much geared towards cloud native projects, but we do have some machine learning projects that are in service to cloud native stuff, right? So like figuring out how to deploy Kubernetes better and things like that. So Clotributor might be a good tool for you to search for projects that are looking for help specifically. So I'm just going through the previous updates and reminders here just to see if there's anything we need to discuss or update. Oh, one of the things that I'm putting on my to-do list, and I know we've been sort of talking about it, or talking about doing it, is I think we need to, like we've got your very good how to be an org admin for Google Summer of Code. I think that we need to update I think we need that for LFX, how to be a CNCF org admin for LFX projects. And I'd like to also write up a better, more sort of specific to the CNCF mentee guide. I think that we've been leaning on the LFX docs quite heavily. And when we talked about like requiring proof of work and things like that, but it's not just proof of work. I'd also like to say, okay, I'd like to start requiring either a devlog or a blog based on some of the conversations that we've had. I know that we are bringing folks on because of their ability to do engineering work in most cases, but part of that is communicating what you've done. And so I think that requiring a blog post uh, um, is not too onerous a thing. And we can do this such that we can provide a template as well. So I'd like to, over the next, like before we start the intake for 2025 January, I'd like to get those three things sort of updated. I'd like a blog template. I'd like an updated mentee guide, which would also like I think there's been some confusion around like what is a full-time, like how many hours are we expecting mentees to work, stuff like we need to explain that I think a little bit better, and a better org guide. And so that sort of and we've been discussing it, and like I said, I need to put like actual time on my calendar to do this work. But I think it's important to do it. And I mean, yeah, there's 3 months still before we do the intake, but excuse me. That runs out pretty quick with KubeCon and then winter vacations and such like that.
So I think those are all great ideas. It would be super nice if we had the LFX org admin guide, mentee guide, blog post template. I don't know how much time I can spend on them, honestly.
And that's why I'm putting it on my to-do list. What I would like from you is feedback and review.
That I can do. That I
Yeah,
can do.
I think it would be, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. So I'll do up some drafts. I'll try and get those done in the next. I hate putting timelines on things for myself, but I think what I'll try and do is I'll try and get a draft of each of these done by the next meeting. So that gives me a month.
Yeah.
And I know KubeCon is coming up. That's how important I think this is.
We have
the other thing I wanted to ask about is so we didn't do a mentee onboarding for term 3. We did the mentorship, the mentor onboarding, but we didn't do the mentee onboarding. And we had discussed before doing 3 sort of group discussions. And I'm wondering, I've already put the schedule out for 2025 term 1, right? Let me grab the link for that. What I was thinking we might consider doing is adding these meetings to the schedule. So what that might do for us is so what would they call those? They're not workshops. They're
for the information sessions or something like
yeah.
that.
So 2025 so we've got our 25 January from 1 schedule, right? I'm wondering if we add these information, if we add the information sessions to this schedule, and then we could have the sort of before the, like maybe at the end of the year, maybe in like mid-December, we could have like a general information session saying, hey, this is what the program is about for mentees, information about whatever it is, just have open question period, basically. Then once we open project proposals, have the mentor information session, and then schedule for the first week or maybe the week before. There's not a lot of time between the end of like the acceptance phase and the beginning of the term. So there's not like a great like, hey, you've been accepted. here, so I'm thinking maybe like the first week of the term, we do the mentee information session, saying, hey, welcome to the program. Here's the expectations. Normally, I would think that I would rather have that the week before the program starts, but I just don't think that we've got the time in between, like acceptance and then you're good for go. Although selection notifications should be going out the 26th, so maybe there is some time in there. So if we look February, let me pull this open here. But do you see what I'm sort of saying? Do you think like scheduling those out in advance is a good idea, or do you think it would be better to keep them a little bit more ad hoc?
I think scheduling them in advance is a really good idea. It's good for us and it's good for our mentors, mentees as well, so that they would know in advance this is the time. And it would be more serious, you know. Maybe more people will attend because it's written in this schedule, you know.
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. So yeah, so the selection notifications go out the 26th,
Hmm.
and then the program begins on the 3rd. So that's like 4 days. So I agree. I think scheduling proposal, schedule info sessions, advance. The rest of the
So, I mean, probably we can do one in February 27th,
yeah.
evening my time. Uh, One sec. When do we send the selection notifications? In the evening of February? UD.
Yeah,
Um,
basically. So the review period, like hopefully we get some of the, like, so this is like the selection form will get sent out on February 19th, and the mentors have like 2 weeks to make the selections. You know, I might need to put a week in there. This is, so I think what we need to do is I just don't want to push things out. Like we're already, there's so much. So what I'm thinking about right now is when the selection is made, we need to give the information to the Linux Foundation folks, who then prepare the paperwork for mentees to get signed up, right? Sign the contracts and get banking info and all that sort of stuff for payment and all that. And so we need to provide them some time to do that. And so there is actually a week there. So if we're saying the selection notifications are on the 26th, so that's Wednesday. So that's like all the information should be in by the 25th. So the 26th is when that information gets sent out, right? And then instead of saying the program begins on Monday the 3rd, maybe we say it starts on like Wednesday the 5th, right? And if we
Yeah.
update it to Wednesday the 5th, that gives us a week, and then we can say, okay, well, if you've been selected, maybe we put the mentee info session on that Monday, right? So we're giving people time to do the work. And again, I always try and start things on Wednesday and end things on Tuesday. So I wonder if starting the term on the Wednesday is the better move here.
We
It
can
still
still
winds up being 12 weeks.
we can still have the program starting on Monday. But we don't expect all these people to, you know, start coding like crazy or something, you know.
Well, yeah, that's the
I
first,
mean,
yeah, I
we can
mean,
still
we
have
don't want to
this
drive up that. Yeah,
in the timeline as the same date or maybe even next day, like Tuesday, or we can The problem with week before is it's gonna be Friday evening or something. That's the problem. So we can still have like next week or like the Monday 3rd, March 3rd,
Yeah.
one session there, and like before on the next day on Tuesday I can do the India plus Europe session.
Kind of makes sense. Like we can have the mentorship program begin on the Monday, and then do like the welcome info session on the Tuesday. Like any time in that first week, I think is probably
Sure,
fine.
sure. I agree.
Yeah, I think that'll be all right.
And when do we want to do the mentor one? Do we want to even do mentor?
I was thinking in the proposals open section. So proposals open January 8th to February 4th. I'm actually going to be off. I'm taking I think I'm off until January. I can't remember exactly when, but I'm taking some time off in the winter there. So I may not even be around when when the project proposals open. But I'm wondering if we do it, because there's like a month of project proposals open. So I was thinking we do it maybe the third week of January or the second week of January, second, third week of Jan. Um, as a way of sort of like very few proposals are going to come in on that first week, right?
Mm,
There's going to be some, but I figure if we set an event or like an info session for mentors,
yeah,
then we can um, use that as a bit of a signal boost, saying, "Hey, get your proposals in." We can use the maintainer email list to say, hey, this is something of interest to projects. So that might be something. And then I wonder if instead of tying the general info session to a term, maybe we just run that 3 times a year when we feel like it. And just say, hey, this is information that like obviously we would want to do it before the program runs. So I think in this case, we would probably want to do the general info session probably around the same time we would do the mentor session, right? But I wouldn't tie it to the term as a part of the schedule. I would just schedule it in that same time, right? You sort of see what I'm saying?
yeah. Okay. I think mentor session and mentee session, they're more important,
Yeah.
and it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so we will. So let's open a PR. Did you want to open the PR? Do you want me to open the PR to update the schedule? Uh, we should assign it to one or other of us as a to do. Otherwise, this is the type of thing that'll languish. So, and just looking at the time here, I think we've got this meeting till 10:55. So we've got about 10 minutes left in this meeting here. Is there anything else we need to discuss, you think, on administration stuff?
Not really.
Okay. In that case, Harshan, I did see that you've got a comment or question in the chat there. A note about this meeting. The goal of the mentoring working group is to administer our programs. And so for questions like, is there different criteria for LFX and GSOC? That's not really that's not sort of the goal of this particular meeting. That is, however, an astute question. It's a good question. Where I would ask that, or that type of question, is actually in the mentoring Slack channel. There's a lot of folks in there who who know a lot about the differences between LFX and GSOC, and there are some differences. One of the main ones actually is that GSOC specifically has rules around being a new contributor. So I didn't want to seem like I was ignoring that question or whatnot, but I just want to make sure that you're getting the right, you're asking that question in the right forum. So this is the administration sort of channel. This is where we're trying to figure out how best to grow the program, how to run the program. And you're welcome to participate and be here for that. But for questions like that, there's probably a better place to ask.
In general, I just wanted to add one thing. The biggest difference between LFX and Google Summer of Code is Google Summer of Code is basically, it's Google's program, so it has more limited capacity and there's much more competition. LFX, there is still competition, but I think Linux Foundation has a better budget or better whatever. So we have more people participating in LFX. But pretty much they're the same, I think. Like you need to be a beginner in open source. In Google Summer of Code, you have to code. In LFX, you can also do other stuff like user research, I don't know, testing, bunch of other stuff.
Documentation as well.
Yeah, documentation. In GSOC, you have to code, you have to develop. These are the main big things, I think.
Actually, the thing is, GSOC in India is really overhyped at a certain level. Like in every college, every university, in every community groups and small group spheres are really talking about like GSOC, GSOC, GSOC. So it's like very overhyped in India, and also folks don't know much about LFX.
Yeah, and that actually speaks to why we need to do some of the updates to our Mentee guides and such. I think we need to be communicating some of that information a little bit better. Also, I think we need to be advertising our program a little bit more. But I mean, we for some of our programs, we're getting hundreds of applicants, so it is a very it's not as competitive as GSOC, but it's still pretty competitive. So that's I think we should communicate how to be a successful applicant, I think, a little bit better than we are currently.
And Nate, like you mentioned, like that this is not the right place to ask such questions. And the thing is, I joined the meeting. I didn't know like only few people will be there, and I raised a comment in the comment section. And after that, I opened the documentation and in the repository, and then I read over that that it was not the correct place to ask such questions.
Yeah, that's okay. Like I said, I'm happy to, and Ali went over the question. I think I'm happy to have a little bit of time to discuss that, especially with somebody who's looking to be a mentee. But I also wanted to make sure that folks, plus this is going up on YouTube later too, so it's important to sort of make sure that different forums are being sort of shared so that folks know where to go for the best information. Because with this particular meeting, sometimes the agenda gets full up and we wouldn't be able to get to a question like that. Today's agenda was a little bit light, so we're happy to do that. And again, we're happy to see you here and participating as a big part of building the community. So it's yeah. Sorry, I've got a lot of noise over here. I'm going to do it again. So, is there, again, with just about 5 minutes left here, is there anything else we think we need to go over here before we close out?
All good, Nate. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining, everyone. And I think we'll give ourselves 5 minutes back here. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.